I'm impotent. So I pay you $20,000 to sleep with my dogs. Nadia was born in Maiduguri, a quiet girl with a gentle spirit. Everyone in her street knew her as that bookish girl, the one who never went to parties, never wore makeup, never had a boyfriend. She was raised by a single mother, Mama Nadia, who sold roasted corn and bowl by the roadside just to make ends meet. From day one, Mama Nadia had one prayer. My daughter, just make it. Make it so that our name wouldn't end in poverty. And Nadia took those words seriously. She went off to Borno State University with nothing but her mother's blessings and a small Gonomosgo bag. She studied day and night, never partied, never followed boys. When her friends were out at parties, Nadia would say, "Abeg, I rather focus and get my first class. I don't have time for distraction." And true to her word, she graduated with first-class honors. Everyone in her area celebrated. Her mother danced till her wrapper came loose. Nadia thought it was the beginning of a bright future. But 2 years after graduation, reality hit her like thunder. There was no job. No opportunity. No help. Her degree couldn't feed her. She sold bowl and fish beside her mother's stand, earning barely 5,000 naira a day. One hot afternoon, as she counted her day's profit, she whispered to herself, "How many bowl do I have to sell before I make it in this life?" That day, something broke inside her. That evening, she scrolled through Instagram and saw her old school friends Cynthia, Bola, and Ominat now living large in Lagos. Cynthia had just unboxed a Chanel bag and Dior slippers, smiling under the caption, "Soft life or nothing." Nadia stared at the phone screen until tears blurred her vision. Then, she texted Cynthia. "Baby girl, abeg show me the way. I'm tired." Cynthia called back immediately and laughed so hard. "You see your life. When we told you to party with the big goons, you said no, it's first class you want. Where has that first class taken you? Anyway, I will help your life because you're fine." And that was it. 3 days later, Nadia packed her bag, hugged her mother, and said she was going to Lagos to look for greener pastures. Her mother prayed for her, unaware her daughter's life was about to take a dark turn. Lagos. The city of hustle, dreams, and deceit. When Nadia arrived at Ojuta Park, she was hit by the chaos, conductors shouting destinations, danfo horns blaring, street hawkers running across lanes. She clutched her small box tightly and whispered, "This is the city of opportunity. I hope my becomes better." She waited for Cynthia for 30 minutes until a black GLE 450 pulled up. When Cynthia stepped out, Nadia screamed, "Cynthia! Is this your car?" Cynthia laughed. "This one is small, Nadia." They hugged like old friends and drove off. When they got to Cynthia's mansion in Lekki, Nadia almost fainted. Marble floors, chandeliers, perfumes in gold bottles, it was paradise. She fell to her knees, whispering, "I've been suffering in that village while my friends have already made it. Nadia, you are a big shame." She wiped her tears and smiled. Her new life had begun. That night, she met Bola, now Bola the Bola, than Ominat, who now went by Minty. They hugged her tightly and said, "Welcome home, babe. Your suffer has ended." They ate, did some catch up and went to bed. The next morning, Cynthia woke her up. "Get dressed. We are going shopping for tonight's club." They had breakfast and left the house. At the boutique, Nadia was stunned by what she saw: designer clothes, red-bottom heels, bags she'd only seen online. She gasped at every aisle, whispering, "Wow," over and over. They spent millions like it was nothing. Later, they went to a salon to install luxury wigs. When Nadia looked in the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. Her reflection smiled back, confident, beautiful, expensive. For the first time in her life, she felt powerful. They got back home, and the girls gave her a brief of what they do and how they're able to afford all the assets they have. They told her the source of their wealth majorly came from being girlfriends and side chicks to rich and wealthy politicians. Nadia, on coming to Lagos, already had a personal conviction that as long as she made money, she was ready to sleep with any big man. So she wasn't surprised when the girls told her the secret of their luxury lives. Unknown to Nadia, there was an even bigger secret that the girls were not telling her. The only way they had the insane kind of wealth was because they indulged in other deadly things. On some occasions, they lay with the dogs of the wealthy men who were driven by weird fantasies and liked to watch. On some occasions, these men paid up to $10,000 a night. In her mind, all she believed she had to do was lay with a wealthy politician while she protected herself. She was really ready to let that part of her go to make it. After all, a first class got her nothing. They chatted a while, took a nap, woke up, and started preparing for the club. Nadia was very excited to make her first few $100,000s and even dollars. She glammed up, applied her red lipstick, and rubbed some Vaseline oil on her body to make it attractive to any wealthy man. They all finished up, took some selfies, and posted videos on Snap. Shortly after, one of Cynthia's chiefs, Chief Bamadil, sent his driver to pick them up with police escorts. They left for the club. When they got in, Nadia was nervous but excited. She had never been to such a gathering, but she was determined to enjoy her time tonight. They walked in and went to sit at the VIP table reserved for them. The bar attendant brought a large tray of shots, but Nadia had never taken alcohol in her life before, but she wasn't bothered as there's always a first time for everything. She had the first shot, squeezed her face, and felt her throat also squeeze, but she loved it, so she had one more glass. A few minutes after, the effects of the shots kicked in. She loosened up and danced with the girls. They were having so much fun when four men who looked like big businessmen and politicians walked in and towards their table. She whispered into Cynthia's ears, "Who are these men?" Cynthia replied to her saying they are some of the men who sponsor their lifestyle. "That's Chief Bamadil, my man. The other one, Chief Akani, is with Bola. Chief Namdi with Minty. But that last one, Chief Koranga, he no get babe. You will handle him tonight." She was already beaming with excitement. She hadn't spent up to 2 days in Lagos. For her, this was it, her chance to finally make money, she thought. Nadia moved close to Chief Koranga, patted his face, and rubbed his stomach. By the end of the night, Chief Koranga told her, "Let's go." She followed him, her heart pounding. His house was massive. The kind of mansion you only see in movies. Marble floors, giant paintings, walls lined with portraits of dogs. She smiled nervously and said, "You really like dogs, right?" He chuckled. "You see." When he told her to freshen up, she entered the bathroom, took a shower, and whispered to herself. She laid on the bed with lingerie on and waited for Koranga. Shortly after, Chief walked into the room. He had changed into a leopard print robe, but this time, he wasn't alone. He was holding the leash of 2 dogs and had 4 bodyguards beside him. Nadia was surprised. She had no idea what was going on. Koranga laughed wildly and said, "Don't be naive. How do you think they can afford to buy a Birkin bag? This is what Lagos big babes do to afford it, and I'm going to pay you $20,000 to lay with my dogs while I watch. You even get $10,000 bonus if you make them more happy." Nadia almost ran mad from the words she was hearing from Chief Koranga. She played until Chief got tired of waiting. He told his guards to hold her while it happened. 40 minutes later, they were done, and Koranga threw the money on the floor. Nadia ran to the bathroom, locked herself in the shower, and wept. She couldn't believe what just happened to her. The next morning, Koranga ordered his driver to drop Nadia back at Cynthia's house. He said, before she left, "I'm still a gentleman, I never let you take a cab after spending time with me, and he laughed. Nadia wept silently throughout the trip. She couldn't believe the events of the last night. She got home, immediately got down from the car, and stormed into the house and slapped Cynthia first. Bola and Minty gasped. Nadia asked, "Cynthia, why didn't you tell me?" "Why? You tricked me into thinking all you guys did was catch the big fishes, and you get all the luxury. I experienced terrible things last night." Cynthia and the girls burst into laughter and said, "Mumu, so you think it's easy to tear a Birkin bag? That's just the tip of the iceberg, and if you can't handle it, move out of this house unfailingly tomorrow." They all hissed and left the living room. Nadia broke down in tears. She felt betrayed, used, and angry, but at least she picked up all the money Koranga gave her, $30,000. She went to her room, took a long shower, and had a nap. She couldn't sleep peacefully that night. She had nightmares of the event and screamed out of her sleep. The next morning, she left that house and never looked back. With the money, she rented a small apartment in Yoba, bought a laptop, and started doing what she should have done from the beginning instead of hurrying for extravagant riches. She applied to multiple firms and got selected for a project manager role at a top firm. The pay was decent, enough to take care of all her monthly needs. She enjoyed her job so much, leading teams came very easy to her, and she delivered projects with grace. She had peace, real peace. One afternoon, she was having lunch at a restaurant when a tall, handsome man walked in, Andair, a South African cybersecurity consultant. He smiled at her table. "Mind if I join you?" She blushed. "Sure." They talked, laughed, shared numbers, started dating and soon became inseparable. For months, they were happy. Nadia finally felt loved, seen, and valued. Until one evening, Andair sent her a photo from a business event, smiling with some dignitaries. When Nadia opened it, her heart stopped. Dr. Koranga standing beside Andair. She fell to the ground as she relived the trauma of that night. That night, she couldn't sleep. Memories flooded back like fire. She knew she had to tell Andair the truth, but she couldn't find the words. Weeks passed, and one evening, Andair invited her to dinner, a business meeting with important guests. When they arrived, she greeted everyone politely. Then the door opened, and Chief Koranga walked in. He smiled when he saw her. "Nadia baby, long time. My dogs miss you. When next are you coming around?" The entire room went silent. Andair froze. "Nadia, what is he talking about?" Tears filled her eyes. Before she could speak, Koranga laughed and spilled everything. Andair was furious. He hit the table and stormed out. Nadia ran after him, crying. "Please, let me explain." He turned to her with disgust. "Don't ever come near me again." And walked away. For days, Nadia locked herself indoors. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. She sent numerous text messages to Andair, but no response. She tried to visit him at his office, but he embarrassed her. The shame was too heavy. But one morning, she looked in the mirror and decided it was time to move on. She got up, washed her face, and started again. Months later, Nadia became one of the top project managers in her firm. It was also heard that Bola died during one of her escapades, while Cynthia and Amina were infected with a deadly disease that they spent millions of naira trying to cure. All Nadia could do was feel bad for them and hope they got better. So whenever people asked her why she stopped chasing soft life, she would smile and say, "Because the soft life is not soft when your soul has no rest."